This is our MOB 470. This was received Panama City, Florida, with damages. It's been returned here to Viking Cape Canaveral to evaluate damages on the craft. Starting off with the tarp. Here you can see damages on the tarp itself, the cover, again here forward. Eyes have been torn out. We have a small hole up here on the top. Scuffed through in a couple of spots on the very bow of the boat. An eye tore out again on the opposite side of the boat. This side here presently on is the port side. The tarp here is scuffed up from, I guess, tying it down. Other noticeable damages on this aluminum post. Might be very hard to see, but it's all scuffed across the back, heavily scratched, very abrasive. And again on the other side, this is on the self-rightening arch. You're now looking at the propeller guard on the back of our Evinrude E-Tech 40 horsepower engine. This guard is bent off to one side. You can see this side here, I can't get quite a finger past this side. Opposite side of this has got a couple of fingers distance. The cage is bent up here. Hard to see on the tapes, but and this weld here is cracked. You can see that this is all bent up. Also very difficult to see with the cage presently on is the skeg. This is actually the skeg on the foot of the motor. This skeg, which is actually part of the engine itself, this is the lower unit. This skeg has a bend to it. I'll remove the cage here and we'll get a better look at that in just a bit. Okay, continuing with damages on the MOB 470. Rub rail. Might be difficult. Sean, bring me a flashlight, please. Rub rail here on the starboard side of the boat is damaged. Very hard to see here, but this is actually torn away, and the rub rail is separated from the hull. Back here is damage done. You can see there's actually pieces missing, chunks taken out of the rub rail, and the rub rail itself also very scarred up. This area right here is actually sanded away. This here you can see a little bit better with the flashlight on it. That area is actually a gouge that goes into the rub rail, approximately 1/4 of an inch. And again, the rub rail is separated. We also have slight separation forward. Underneath part is a little bit worse than it is on the top, but again, it is separated here. Hard to see with the reflection. This side here is not bad. We can clean that up. Okay, I'm going to hoist the vessel up, get the boat up in the air so we can evaluate the damages on the bottom of the boat. Okay, I've got the vessel hoisted up. Please note that the cradle has been rebuilt at Eastern Shipbuilding Group. The back end of this cradle was completely destroyed. This piece here on one of the areas to receive the bunk was completely off, and the entire bottom of the cradle was broke off. Eastern Shipping Group put it back together with some screws underneath. Lags had to be cut in order to reassemble this. They cut lags up underneath this area. They put in these 2x4s to reinforce this to hold the vessel again on both sides in the back. Again, this cradle was crushed. I do have a photo of it prior to it being rebuilt. Underneath the hull, we have damages to, this is scarring in the hull. These here are very deep scratches into the boat across here. The whole bottom area in the center here where it sat in the bunk itself is all actually chipped deep into the grooves in some areas. There's also deflection in the hull. This is very serious. The deflection in this hull obviously has occurred when this when this thing fell apart. This should be level. You can see my fingers in the shadow behind this. The integrity of this hull has been breached. It's actually been pushed in when the cradle itself has caved in, however that happened. But you can see my fingers in behind the level. Looking at least an inch. Once there's weight on the boat, it's up to 2 to 3 inches of deflection. Unfortunately, this cannot be corrected without taking the cap of the boat off. Very, very serious and unfortunate happening. Up toward the front of the boat, this is actually a very deep gouge down to the raw fiberglass. Of course, scuffing, again here scratched. This is scratched in this area, requiring re-gel coat. These are chips and scratches into the boat also. This here is just scratching, and again here. I'm over now on the port side of the boat, very back of the boat on this side. This scratching is extremely deep. This here is clear into the fiberglass. This area here is just very, very deep scratching, requiring filling, gel coating, and polishing. The back of the transom also has a little bit of scratching on it. Areas up in here and across here. Again here on the port side of the vessel, deflection's not as serious, but it is present. There's an estimated half of an inch while the boat's hanging. Once this boat would go to the water, the weight of the boat sitting on the hull itself in the water, that deflection would increase probably at least 1, possibly 2 inches more than what it is. I do not know the stringer layup inside the hull, but I have opened the hull up, and Notice that there is a bulkhead just forward of this serious deflection. This is on one chime. This is the next chime in. You can see there extremely serious deflection. I'm looking at least an inch. And getting more toward the center of the boat. It's a little less, but again, we do have deflection here. Again, this is very serious. It's unfortunately, in order to be fixed, would require either the cap to be lifted or the decking to be cut open and patched from the inside. Okay, I believe that's it, guys.